So one of the things that we want to look at is technology advancements and any trends in changes in technology. So we want to be able to ensure that with technology advancements, we can continue to perform our mission. So it's a very interesting example here for how does Mozilla's phasing out certificates with SHA-1-based signature algorithms affect an organization's website. Another example for security posture. With the introduction of IPv6, devices started shipping with IPv6 enabled. A lot of organizations said, well, I'm not going to run IPv6. I don't worry about it. I'm not going to be using it. But in reality, they were using it because it was enabled, and their adversary was able to take advantage of that and use it to perpetrate attacks on their system. So we need to understand the changes that are happening in the software that we use, in the hardware that we use, and the protocols that we use, so that we understand how changes in those may expose us to more dangers and decrease our security posture and impact our ability to execute our mission. So we need to understand those changes in technology. And that can even tie into understanding changes that intruders are using or threat actors are using against us. This chart just shows over time the different types of attacks that we've seen. Attacks are the little red bullets, and the black pieces are the types of remediation strategies that have been put in place. And you can see it's interesting to call it an arms race, but really every time we find new ways to defend ourselves against adversaries, their tools, techniques, and methods, they find ways around that. So we're seeing more and more hiding attacks in common protocols that are used for operational issues like DNS and HTTP. We're seeing polymorphic malware where it can change the code, so it's hard to identify it through signatures and hashes. We've seen obfuscation. We've seen use of encryption. So it's very difficult, gets more and more difficult to keep up with what the intruders and the adversaries are doing to find and attack our critical assets and systems, compromise them, steal data, steal identities, steal credentials, and do any type of damage. And really, we have to be aware of any type of vulnerabilities in both software and protocols, hardware too. Sometimes information is released, and it's released in standardized manners. Information might come out from US CERT. Information might be posted in a national vulnerability database, but sometimes it's not through those recognized disclosure mechanisms. So how does your organization make sure that it stays aware of those things that are being announced and those things that are not? That's not an easy question to figure the answer to, but it's something that your incident management team has to think about and address. And again, just keeping track of any other changes in hardware and software, changes in configurations, changes in are there new patches, are there workarounds for known problems. So just keeping up to date as we normally do with the changes in the software and hardware that support the business processes that allow us to execute our organizational mission. When we talk about architecture, again, this is understanding how your systems and network are laid out, where, and knowing this can help you identify where you need to pull information from or where you need to put or place sensors to collect information. This can also help you when you do the analysis and response tasks, knowing what your network topology is, knowing what your network architecture is, understanding the various software and hardware elements where they're physically and logically placed on your network. That can help when you're planning your courses of action and your remediation plan for how you would handle an incident on part of that, one of those systems or part of that network. You also, besides the network architecture, need to understand the organizational hierarchy, the organization structure, as far as where the lines of business are, where managers are, and who are the key decision makers, both formally and informally within the organization.